if you're running out of money, which is not a problem for me at all at the moment. Obviously I'm getting plus 40 per turn, and a turn is just 5 seconds basically. It's a 5-second tick, so it's still real time. It's just that's every 5 seconds you get your plus 40 gold or minus 10 or whatever your economy happens to be at. Here's some supply ships. Currently I think they're a little bit buggy, they're not quite working properly, but they will work. I've seen them work properly, it's just they don't seem to be in this game, but that's okay, because most of my ships by now at this stage have energy weapons anyway, so I don't need ordnance. You know, and the game is in a pretty good state. Like, pretty much all the basic features of the game are in, so your ship design and your combat and colonies and all this stuff is in. It's just filling it with content, and the difference between features and content is, you know, that's races, I suppose, is a perfect example. Okay, so having different races and being able to pick traits for them, that's a feature, but content is the fact that there's only 4 races and there's going to be 8, you know, eventually. So it's not content complete, but the feature's in. Now some guy, I forget who it was, but was said I was a bit, you know, I guess annoyed when I was having a look at the talking to the alien races in the last game, and please don't take offense, you know, I was just trying to sort of rush through that stuff and show people, because my upload speed's terrible and I can't upload huge videos all the time. But I will go into it a bit further and show you what goes on. So if I click on here, we can actually spy on people. There's espionage. You can spend a certain amount of money on espionage, and you can also spend a certain amount of money on counter espionage. And the more you spend, like if I raise it to 3 per turn, then you know, eventually I can get all these effects like knowledge of spy budget, counter espionage bonus, and I can use points that I gain from doing that. Sorry, that's just my daughter. But it's okay, her mother will go and grab her for a second. But you can spend those points on doing things like planting moles, discovering plots, etc. Like I said, it's probably not 100% functional at the moment, but the basic feature is in. And it just needs a bit of polishing. I can do that. I can contact, say, the Volfin. I can have a talk to them. I'll show you what you can do with negotiations here. So you can get non-aggression packs, trade open borders, which is currently non-functional, but will be in the next patch. Technology, you can trade colonies, and you can talk about other empires. And like I said, you can discuss things with them, like, what can you tell me about your people? But anyway, I'll get out of that because it was quite loud. And that music always freaks me out a little bit. As does the look on his face. He looks pretty vicious. They're very aggressive, this race. Polyps not so much, although they do have humongous ships. So anyway, what else can I show you here? Oh, I did want to say that the traits work on a point system. So if you have so you might start off with 0 points, like neutral, and then if you choose a negative trait that goes -3 points, you know, then it gives you, you know, extra points towards choosing another positive trait, and that's sort of how the traits work. What else can I show you guys? We've also got a planet list, and you can hide platforms again because they just get too complicated. Not all of these are mine. You know, it's just a general planet list of planets I've discovered. Very, very big. And I do want to show you guys some combat, but I might wait until the next patch because there's a number of fixes that are going to make it tons more exciting. So I might wait until the next patch for that. But I have been building a fleet. Obviously, production's quite plentiful. It's 27 per turn here. But And sorry again about that. But there's not too much else that I was going to show you guys. I think that's most of it, you know, is basically here. I can get my... Oh, I might show you the fleet screen a little bit more in depth, I suppose. So you've got... what is that? Oh, that's your building. And if you click home, it zooms to your currently controlled ship and centers the camera on him. Just so that you can see that. You see how my camera is not moving even though the ship is moving. I should choose a technology. I don't know what to get. I already got disintegrator array, which sounds pretty awesome. Maybe quantum torpedo cannon or subspace artillery. Currently, the projectile weapons are a bit limited. Obviously, there's only 2 or 3 techs here. What I would like to see is the energy weapons actually, being forced to research a couple of projectile weapon techs and then the energy weapons coming off that, or you can continue with the projectile weapons and then have the projectile weapon techs be noticeably cheaper. So you've really got a real choice of going for more of a late game energy weapons or getting good decent weapons right then and there by continuing with projectiles, but you're sort of gimping yourself for the late game because you won't have, you'll have to go back and research energy weapons and go through the whole tree. But yeah, there's also more techs ready to be implemented. This screen used to have a lovely background, but I don't know what happened to it. It was this beautiful space background with nebulae, but I don't know what's happened there. Probably the background became too small for the screen, I would say, for the number of techs there was, but I'm sure they'll fix that up eventually. You've got your basic save and load that's in the game. There's no options at the moment, but I'm sure there'll be some basic options. There may not be tons of video settings and stuff, but there'll be some basic options like, maybe VSync and stuff like that once the game's released. This here is going to be like a Civilopedia if you've played Civilization. It's going to be like an encyclopedia of everything in the game. It's not very complete yet, obviously, but it's getting there. There's obviously some empty stuff like down here, ballistic weapons, ordnance, beam weapons, etc., energy cannons. But yeah, anyway, so when this next patch comes out, I'll get on and play a game and maybe fight the enemy who currently they sort of just spam little fighters and it's pretty bad, but there's fixes coming so that they build more balanced fleets and do all that kind of jazz. I think that's pretty much everything I was going to show you guys. Choosing a negative trait, freeze up point. Yep, I showed you that. Yeah, someone also mentioned the production and colonization was quite fast, and I absolutely agree. There's various different things you can do to slow that down. You can slow ships down outside your own space. You can, you don't have to just make colonies harder to colonize. You can do various things by proxy, and that's probably even the more clever way to do it. And but that'll all be, that'll all be sorted out in the next few months. That's why we're having a beta, to sort this kind of stuff out, because currently, like I said, seems a little bit fast. Maybe the colonization, you shouldn't have like 15 colonies in the first, half an hour. But yeah, that's pretty... Oh, you've also got this screen here, which is just an economic overview, as you would expect for this kind of game. You need to know that stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If I go to the fleet screen, I can show you... Oh, you can also requisition in the fleet screen. You can click on your fleet and then click requisition, and it'll be like, I want this ship, and I want them to be added to this fleet, and then the AI will just build it for you and then send them over to where your fleet is. It's all very, very in depth. Oh, one thing, if you're watching this, Daniel, one thing that would be cool is, I should show people actually. Where's the design? I'll load this design again. The phaser molar, we'll load that. And I should say that you can't just put any module in any slot either. You know, if you have engines, you have to put them in an engine slot down here, and if you have an internal component that says I on it, you have to put it in on an I slot or an IO slot. And if you have an external component that's just like O, like armor is, you have to put it on the outside. So there is a little bit of balancing there. Like, you know, it's not just complete free. You can't just make a ship full of engines and have it go at 100 million kilometers an hour through space. Like, that'd just be ridiculous. You know, and you can't just make a ship full of weapons and you've got to power them. And you get the idea. And you know, and if you've got projectile weapons, you have to put ordnance modules like this in your ship as well. And here's fuel modules. But anyway, look, what I'll show you is that you can actually change the direction that your turrets face, like this, which is fantastic. But it's a little bit unintuitive. See, I would have never guessed this until just recently. I only found it out. So what would be good is if you click on a module that you can change the facing, if it came up with a little box, say here, with a little circular slider, and then you could slide it around, and it said, you know, module facing or swivel mount or something like that, and, you know, to change the facing, that'd just be fantastic. And then it would be very intuitive and people would instantly know, oh, I can change the facing of that module and which way it faces and which direction it's going to go in. If you press tab, you can see all of them. I've also got bombs here for bombing planets. I'm not going to show you the planet bombing because, again, it's a bit unpolished and it just doesn't work that well, and I have trouble with it. And you can see it a little bit of it in the trailer anyway. And if I press tab on this screen, I'll just the very last thing before I end this video, before my baby goes insane, I can see all the modules and whether they're damaged and stuff and what's shielded by green glow. Alright, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and the last video will be some combat, but it probably won't be out for a couple of days. And yeah, you guys all have a great day. See ya!